the future is not ChatGPT. The future is a very niche bot that is specific for what you need. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Biz Dev Podcast, the podcast about developing your business. I'm David Baxter, joined this week, per usual, Gary Voigt, and only Gary Voigt this week. No guest, which makes me sad because that means I have to talk to this dill hole for the next little bit.
You told me I was the guest. You said I was important this episode.
Absolutely not. No. I do the fact that you're not wearing a beanie today. Well done. Upgrade. A hat backwards still, but yeah. One day you're going to let these luscious Fabio locks just come out. Watch out. And there's just going to be all this hair that you've been
There's going to be background
growing.
music. There's going to be like sparkles.
That's right. It's going to be the great reveal of
Little
Gary's
slow-mo.
new haircut. Yeah. You get a fan. The whole episode, you have a fan just blowing your hair back.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be great. I would just be jealous the whole time. I wouldn't even be able to speak. Be like, me and my bald head, just be angry.
I'll have like a little handheld fan, and then the camera I'll lean back. You'll see it up close. It's just...
I was in the airport this weekend, and I saw in 2 different airports, no, maybe 3, in the lines. You're in the snake. You're walking back and forth in a big snake.
In the security checkout, or
yeah,
is this okay?
Security. And they have the poles that make the snake to keep the people in line, and like they had these big fans on them. They were not on ever, but they were fans like everywhere. And I didn't understand that. I was
probably when the line is completely full and it's warm, they'll just circulate the air around,
crank them up. But they were like the actual dividers were these fans, which was interesting. Apparently
cool.
all the airports got the memo because they all seem to have them. AI is something we are dabbling in, trying to make it bigger because I want to see what it can do. It is fascinating. So we're building a little research bot right now. It's a toy that a client has asked us to make for him for marketing. And so I got to go knee deep in this stuff. And here's what's amazing to me. Okay. So if you've never worked with one of these, you're not a nerd like I am. What you end up doing is, and I'm using ChatGPT, OpenAI, because they have the best, as of right now, they have the best interfaces for
APIs,
nerds.
right?
Yeah. API. Interfaces for nerds. That's what that means. And so most of the stuff you're seeing now when they're integrated, they're almost all using OpenAI because their tools are better. So we're building this thing. And the gist of the thing is you ask, it asks you some questions. And when you give those answers, it generates a picture based on what you said. And if you can keep making it make pictures and changing the picture based on more data that you give it. And at the end of the day, if you like it, you give your name and email and I shoot that off to the client. And they get the whole transcript, including the images. That's the bot. So
Let's
what's
be more
cool
specific,
about it,
though.
Okay.
It's not just generating any image off anything you say.
No, it's based on the questions. You have to ask.
Aren't you limiting it to a certain area?
Yeah, it's a vertical that the client
industry
is in.
Yeah.
Yes. They're in. Yeah. So these are very specific. And what's interesting is when you give a prompt, so I'm using this thing called an assistant. And that's a new thing. The only thing that's new about it is in between each time you talk to it, it remembers who it is. Like normally, if you're ever playing with ChatGPT, you open it and it's just the default blank canvas bot. It doesn't have any instructions except to be polite. And when you start another thread, it again forgets who it is. These assistants basically remember who they are between each one. So you give it this big introduction. So you are this person, you're an expert in this industry, you answer in this way, and you do these things. You ask these questions, and it's very cool. So now it's focused. It knows what it is. This one is an expert on building an architecture. Let's just say it's an architect. And if you start asking it questions about books and movies, you can tell it, don't veer off the subject, stay focused, keep it on task, right? So you're not saying, I like the Avengers, and we're going to talk about the Avengers for 20 minutes. That's not the point of these kinds of bots. So that's what you give it, that personality. It's all in that prompt is what they call that. Prompt engineering is something you might have heard of. What's really cool is you can then do, on top of that is, it has this thing called a code interpreter, which is mind blowing to me. Okay. So if you ask it a question and it feels, that's the weird part, it feels that the best way to answer that is to write code. It will do that on the fly. It will just write a little program to answer a question.
Really?
So yeah, it's wild. It's called Code Interpreter. And what you do is the demo that I was playing with when I was getting started was, I would like you to tell me the first 20 numbers in the Fibonacci sequence, right? It knows that, but it already knows that. But when you turn on this code interpreter, you will see it when you're looking on the back end in the nerd land, you will see it generating a little Python script to run through Fibonacci and output those 20 numbers so that it's not grabbing
It's
it
not
from
just
internet
copy and
articles.
pasting it from, yeah,
Correct.
it's actually
It didn't read
running
an
a
internet article and
sequence
do it.
program.
It's building code on the fly, running it and giving the output. Mind blowing. Okay. And now these are simple programs, but then the other thing you can tell it to do is you can upload files to it and you can say, answer questions about these files. So I uploaded just randomly, just to play with it. I uploaded an invoice. I didn't tell it was an invoice. I just uploaded a file that happened to be an invoice. And I was like, what's the total? And sure enough, there it goes. It was $2,000 or whatever it was. Like, that's crazy. And you can make it do all sorts of things. And you can give it 20 documents and you can merge them together by asking questions. All of this is just ChatGPT.
Yeah. One of the things that impresses me the most lately is the advancements in like the OCR and image translation, like OCR being optical
it knows what it's
character
looking
registry. Like it could look at a picture of text and can read it as text in the language it's written in, which is insane.
What's funny though is it can't generate text though. If you ever look at the images and it's like I did one, I made the big pixel logo.
It can't generate
it started
typography
misspelling
as images, right? It can generate text, but it just can't spit out an image with accurate text and typography.
It gets weird. Like, I gave it a picture of me. At Christmas, I got several things that was me. It was big pixel merch. One of my guys sent me the nicest dog bowl I've ever seen. It's a Yeti dog bowl. It weighs like 4 pounds. It's awesome. And it's made of like the vacuum seal,
titanium
steel. It's crazy. But he put the logo on it. So I have a dog bowl and I have a coffee cup and and I'm wearing a sweatshirt and a t-shirt and all this stuff. And I'm just big pixeled out. And I took that
just
picture.
For the listeners, David does actually have a dog. It's not for him. Okay.
You're such a douche. Okay. So I take this ridiculous picture and I sent
AI all those pictures of the merch and stuff. Yeah.
It was just me wearing it all. And I said, generate an art of me. Make me into a picture. And we did this like 30 times. And the point of what I'm telling you is the logo that was clearly everywhere changed in every picture. Like sometimes it started misspelling, like pixel was PEXEL. Like what? Sometimes it never actually recreated the logo ever, which is interesting because it was literally in front of it, but it couldn't do that. Sometimes it would just turn into BG. I don't even know where that comes from, but it was weird. Like the topography was the most interesting part, that it kept just jacking it up. Anyway, the last thing I learned that was really cool when you're dealing with these bots is I can write code, me the nerd, I can write code that when you've done these things, I need, let's say, I want the weather. Here's a good example. I want the weather. And so in order to make the weather work, I need to know where you are. And so as soon as I know where you are and I know that you want the weather, it will call my code, but it decides when to call my code. I don't tell it, this is the right time. It'll just say, when you know their location and they want the weather. So you can say, man, how hot is it right now in Zimbabwe? It'll be like, oh, that might be a question for this weather app. It will go into, oh, right now in Zimbabwe, it's 104 degrees or whatever. And it's crazy. It's just crazy. When you realize it can do these 3 things, just imagine what you can use just those 3 things to do. It's a very wide net. And you're starting to see that. That's what all these bots and stuff are. Because originally, one thing I was disappointed in. So you probably have seen on the news, the ChatGPT marketplace, right? Where people can make their own GPTs. Have you seen that, heard that?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know a lot about it though.
They want to be the next Apple, right? Everyone wants the walled garden because that's just a money printer, right? If you can figure out how to make think of iOS or Android,
GPT.
App Store.
Okay, yeah.
They want an app store for GPTs. It's not monetized yet, but you can see where it's going. The problem is you can make one of these things, but the only people who can use it are other people who are paying for the premium version of ChatGPT.
Yeah, they still have to pay for
which is,
the OpenAI ChatGPT Pro
which I
version.
get why they do that, but it totally defeats the purpose of why I would ever want to build one. I
But
want to put
didn't
something on my website
Microsoft,
or make it,
they sidestepped that with Copilot, right?
they give them 10 billion to sidestep it. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but
It's just ChatGPT.
you can't write a GPT API or a program that uses Copilot as the base.
Not that I've ever seen. I don't think, and that's probably in, I don't know this, of course. It's probably in their contract somewhere
Yeah.
that you can use this. This is your toy to play with because you gave us $10 billion, but you can't build a developer thing. I say that. Right now, you can go to Azure and there's Azure AI, and that's all ChatGPT. I
Yeah,
haven't
but there's
played with
probably
that.
a premium price for that as well.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
The pricing on AI stuff is ridiculous. Like I used to use a Shortwave as my email client, which is a great piece of software. It's great if you wanted something a little different for your email client. But they have an AI bot which will summarize emails and it will help you write emails, all that stuff. But so Shortwave is $9 a month per person. If you want that AI thing, it's like another $20.
Yeah,
Like,
it's been
dude,
getting
price.
a little gougey with everybody offering the premium with the AI services. And yeah, the subscription goes from, like you said, $10 a month up to 25. So wait a minute.
Microsoft is 30. If you want AI in Word, it's $30 a month.
That's insane.
So you're paying, I think it's $9.95 or $14.95 to get access to Office. You want Office with AI, it's $45. Like, dude, that's
even little things
nuts.
like Grammarly now has an AI premium subscription where you
I
already
don't
have
understand that. That's its whole
It's
premise,
basic,
right? Is to read your junk,
yeah, but I
right?
guess it now can rewrite it for you and offer new, which is what it already did anyway.
That
So
is the late. I am so tired
you
of
just got to put those
the,
little star icons and put AI assistant, and then you can upcharge another $10 a month for whatever it's in.
but it's like the developers, and I don't mean this like derogatory. It's going to sound that way, but they're being lazy. This thing can do so much more than write emails for you, write something for you. Like we use ClickUp. ClickUp it'll help you write your tickets. I don't, dude, get past I don't need it to write me Shakespearean sonnets. It can do so much more than write for me. I can write just fine. The company I've been most impressed, and we've talked about this outside of the podcast. The company I've been most impressed with what they're doing with their AI is the browser company, which makes Arc.
Yeah,
They
they're
are coming
really,
at this AI thing very differently.
and they're making it like it's useful in a way that you would just expect it to be useful without thinking that it's AI doing it. But it's just super helpful, especially the
Super
mobile
helpful.
browser.
The browse for me. Yeah. So if you've never heard of Arc, which of course no one has, I talk about it all the time. Almost every meeting I'm in. So if you can get their mobile browser on iOS, I don't think they're on Android. I could be wrong.
No, it's just iOS.
They're very pro Apple. So if you have an iPhone, you can download, it's called Arc Search. And what it does is you type in, what is a good car for teenagers? That was something we just recently had to go through. And instead of saying search and Google comes back with a few links, you
Well,
can go browse.
listicles and ads and sponsored links.
Yeah, all that junk. You can say browse for me. And what it'll do is it'll go to 6 sites that it chooses, which is its own magic. Regardless, I'll put that aside for a second. It goes to 6 sites, reads those 6 sites for you real quick, summarizes them, writes a custom web page with pictures from those sites, and then links to everything it read, all within seconds, which is mind-blowing.
And then after that, it's, do you want more results? And then you just click, yeah. And then it does it again and gives you a few more. So
it is so cool. And what's interesting, he talks about the founder. I don't know his name. He talks about using the same things I described earlier that OpenAI does, the functions and all of that in your own code. That's how that whole thing is built. He's explained that. People are so stuck in these little prompts and stuff that they don't realize this function concept, which is what I was describing earlier, is out there that can have one program call another program. And then you can daisy chain these things and get all sorts of nutty, which is what they're doing with Arc. They just you can hover over, this is on their regular browser too. You can hover over a link And instead of clicking on it to go to it, it'll just summarize it for you real quick. So you never have to leave the page. I love that. And their philosophy on AI is just very cool. And we need a lot more people thinking that way.
Now, I do know the company is the browser company, and the CEO's name is Josh. I don't know his last name, right? But I can look it up.
That's what Google's for. I love AI I'm still nervous about the Terminator. I have to be honest, but I am one of those people. I think this stuff needs to be
Yeah, when
really,
you start
really
seeing
careful.
articles or titles of articles about how they're looking into how to use AI for military operations or military strategy or this and that, you're like, "Oh, okay, that's getting a little bit
That's
scary."
happening. You
No, you know
absolutely know
it's
DARPA has
probably
been doing this for
been
years.
happening before
Yeah.
we even were able to see AI publicly. So I'm
Oh,
sure
for
it's
sure.
already
DARPA absolutely has been knee deep in this for a decade. And the money is just right there. OpenAI, I am sure secretly is talking to the Department of Defense. I don't see how that does not happen. But and China's doing the same thing, and Europe's doing the same thing. It's a scary, we're right on the precipice of a lot of changing stuff. And this thing getting smarter and smarter. And the one thing it cannot do, and the one thing I don't know if it ever will be able to do, is replace the what. What do I want to do today? It's very good at how. It's very good at making what you do better, but it's limited. It's read the entire internet, right? So a good way of explaining it is read the entire internet. It knows everything that humans have done, but it has no ability to do something that has not been done before. And that's where its limitations lie. And getting past that is really hard. And there's a whole different problem, but that's where we come in. That's what humans are for. We're creative. The minutia, the boring grunt work is going to go away, and we will be creative entities because that's all that's left. The problem is there's a lot of people who just do grunt work, and they're
Yeah,
about to lose their job.
that's true.
The Verge says, I think I've said it before, The Verge says that it is a fire hose of C+ content. And so if you make C+ content, you're about to lose your job. If you were an A+ person, now you have a tool, a power tool. You've been doing A+ content with your hammer and nail, and someone just gives you a nail gun. How much better is your content? You're going to be amazing. You're going to have superpower. That is what I'm excited about. But all those C+ people are about to lose their job. And that's just, and maybe you're already seeing that. Tech is going nuts right now with layoffs. Nutso. And that's scary and unfortunate.
Yeah, the tech layoff thing, though, there's multiple reasons, not just AI, but a lot of
For sure.
companies that said, "Oh no, we're not going to use AI to replace anybody," immediately started using AI to replace people. So
It's
can't
more than
trust
that.
it.
There are two things. You got like the Rivian laying people off. Rivian is laying people off because they are legitimately hurting as a business. Okay, that's fine. But then you've got Microsoft laying off people, and Sony just recently announced a huge layoff. Those guys are swimming in cash. So
Yeah,
that
the
is
Microsoft one was a lot of people that were being replaced by AI. A lot of people in administrative assistant and like copy generation for sales and marketing type stuff.
but
Like
they also
a
laid
lot
off
of
like
it was
1,600 developers.
Yeah.
Game
The other thing for that, an article that I read in The Verge as well, was during the pandemic, the companies that had all this extra cash just started poaching and purchasing developers just to prepare
Mhm.
themselves, like just as backups. So a lot of developers were getting 150 to 160,000 a year to do not much at all, just because they were like on deck for, okay, if this is the way the world is going to be, then we have enough people now to take over more and more of what we're going to do in the digital space after things went back to somewhat normal. Now they're still paying all these salaries for people that they're not utilizing. They don't have any projects for them. And they're like, okay, so now we got to lay off. So then once I think Meta was the first to do it, they started laying off some of the extras.
Yeah.
Then everybody fell in line and did it as well, which made everybody think, oh no, the tech industry is dying. Silicon Valley is laying off everybody. What's going on? But it was just a lot of overstaffing
Yeah, they
and preparation.
overstaffed. Like Facebook doubled in size over the
Yeah,
pandemic. And then they laid off like
that's why they were the
15%
first
of them.
ones to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But they still kept, the net was like still 85% of those people they kept. And it's just weird.
Big Pixel builds world-class custom software and amazing apps. Our team of pros puts passion into every one of our projects. Our design-infused development leans heavily on delivering a great experience for our clients and their clients. From startups to enterprises, we can help craft your ideas into real-world products that help your business do better business.
Most of the guests we've had on lately have all either been using, or are using AI as a selling point in their businesses.
I mentor a good bit now, startups and stuff. It's a passion of mine. I love doing it, helping people, the next generation of business leaders. I cannot tell you how many times they say that they're using AI in their program somewhere. And now that's a place when you're mentoring, the beauty of mentoring is all you're there is to poke holes, right? That's my whole reason for being. So I'm like, okay, all right, where is AI in this? Tell me what an AI
They
is.
used
Well, we have
ChatGPT
ChatGPT making
like emails.
something. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, ChatGPT gives you recommendations or whatevers. And I'm like, no, you need to take that out of your slide, because anybody who knows what they're talking about is going to rip you apart. Now, I know that investors get excited about the word AI, just like they did crypto, just like they did NFT. I get it. It gets them excited. But dude, anyone who knows what they're talking about is going to tear you apart. That is so common to just say we use AI. My joke is AI is Al in the back room. That is all it is. It's not actual programming. It's not even the stuff I was talking about with the APIs with ChatGPT. It is simply using ChatGPT to make some content, and therefore we have AI in our system. So I'm guessing that that's the startup version of what I was talking about before. There's also the existing company version, which is just
Basically.
less
Yeah, it's like the
polite.
hustle
I can't.
culture version now of college kid building a startup, going to sell for $1 billion in 3 to 5 years, as long as they use
That
AI. They think it's a springboard.
that whole thing, though. I mean, I'm old enough, and you're certainly old enough
Yes.
to remember. You're welcome. You'll remember the days when you created a company and the whole goal was to get bought by Google, Meta, Microsoft, whatever, because that's what they did. You had a good idea, they just bought you. Here's $5 million. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. That's gone now. That doesn't exist. Those guys are all gun shy because the FTC and stuff are anti-monopoly. So they can't do that anymore. Like one of the whole reasons why I think the Vision Pro, the Apple's, big helmet, the reason it's struggling to get ground is because all of the very promising early on VR apps were completely bought by Facebook. They own all of them. Supernatural, Beat Saber, all of those companies were bought. I think Supernatural actually is still in the process of being bought. It's being challenged. But all the cool ideas like fitness on your face, great idea. It's the reason why the Quest has done so well. Beat Saber changed. It was the first practical application that grandma understood what I'm doing in my
Yeah.
VR helmet. They
And it
bought all
promoted
of them,
physical movement instead of just playing with a game
which is
controller
nice.
on a couch. Yeah.
It's those ideas have been bought. So Apple doesn't have a killer app coming to their store. They can't say, and we have Beat Saber, which is a draw. There isn't any because they were all purchased. That era is now over. So Apple has to build things from scratch, which of course they can do, but
Yeah, I
it's
think
just a very
Apple's
different world.
their trajectory is not in the gaming first.
No, but that's what
I
sells
guess you
VR
could say.
helmets. I'm sorry.
It's not really
That's-
infotainment. They're trying to create a new way of interacting with basically your computer. That's their
That's not going
mission
to
statement
sell
there.
$4,000 helmets. That's
No,
just
but
not going to
there
work.
has to be a beginning. So the entry point needs to be similar to what people are already used to, and the VR/AR, piece
I
or
want to play
headset,
games on
whatever you
that
want to
thing.
call it, is the first thing that people are going to be
I
able
want to play
to
games though.
adopt to. Think about this: the AI pin with the projector. How often do you hear
Humane.
anybody talking about that? Humane, sorry.
It's not out yet. So that's part of it. I just saw a thing on a website that was it
I
now
thought they
almost
had like
out.
hundreds of
They
testers
launch in
using it
April.
daily.
They have testers. Yeah, but they're probably all under NDA.
Wow.
It goes live in April. So probably maybe by the time this is out, they will be out. But again, they're going to sell 6 of those and call it a day. There's no way that's going to be a huge hit. It's
Yeah.
just, if I'm going to do that, I want glasses. I want to wear your big dorky glasses like you've got with some cameras that have AI in my ear. That's a killer app. Give that a year.
I want some small little earpiece I could hook over my ear that then gives me like Minority Report style heads up displays and stuff. That'd be pretty cool.
You're 10 years from that. I think in 10 years, we'll all be wearing glasses, even though we don't need them. And they're going to have all of that stuff in there. I firmly believe that. From now till then, I have no idea.
What did you learn from building that bot as an experiment?
Every single one of our clients could use it. And that sounds stupid. I didn't realize that when I started this. It was potential, but now that once you peel it back and you can see what this thing can really do, every single one of our clients could use this. And I say that because that means every company could use AI in some meaningful. And I'm not talking about writing your emails. I'm talking about, just imagine any company. Let's say you are just trying to pick a random industry. You make bricks, right? That's a horrible example, but go with it. You make bricks. I can now make a bot that can insert all the information about every kind of brick on the planet, what temperatures it works with, what styles and this, that, and the other, all the things you care about if you're a brick guy, and the mortar that it works with and all that. I can load that into this bot. And at any point in time, if you have a question, you have the world's foremost expert on bricks at your beck and call. That's just a cheesy example. But the future is not ChatGPT. The future is a very niche bot that is specific for what you need. And that niche bot, there's going to be 1 billion of them. And it's really good. One is going to be really good at rock music because I need to ask questions about rock music. One's a bartender bot. One is you get my point. You can build
it's
all
like
those.
your
I think
personal
that's fascinating.
Jarvis.
Correct. But it's very focused. Jarvis would have been a ChatGPT, right? It knew everything about everything, but it was hard to. Now, in that case, the analogy dies there because Jarvis is fictional and perfect.
What I meant was
But
like
the problem with
almost like a personal assistant that has the expert level knowledge of a specific subject.
And I think that's where I've had this idea, and it's not going to go anywhere. So I'll just tell you, imagine you're a startup founder and going back 10 years ago, or 20 years ago now, being a startup founder was really hard because if you had a tech idea, a startup idea for the thing, you had to go buy servers and physical stuff. And that was really expensive and hard to do. Fast forward, we had the cloud. Now I can push a button, I have a server. Whoa, that lowered the barrier to entry way big. Now we're going to get, now the cloud, and then now we're going into another one where my bottleneck now is I'm alone. I don't have a co-founder. I don't have a legal expert. I don't have the ability to do any of this stuff. I'm stuck I have all these questions and I don't know how to get answers because I have no money, right? I'm a brand new startup guy. Imagine you have a Slack-like interface where every channel inside of it is an expert on human resources, legal, project management, whatever you need. And it's right there and you can ask it any questions you want. Now I am no longer without resources. I have an expert in every field I could ever imagine. And there's a lot of holes to that idea, but you can get the idea.
Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
It does, from what you were saying earlier, that does just clear all the red tape and the barriers out of the way for you to then be creative, which is what it cannot be.
Correct. So now I've lowered the barrier of entry dramatically again. Is now I don't need a lawyer. Of course, eventually you do. But when I'm starting, I just have questions. What's an LLC? How do I do this? Right now, I Google all of that. And then I make a decision whether or not that guy's an idiot or not. That's how we all Google. Now you've got this thing that has read every law book. And the cool thing about the app idea I have is it's focused. I'm not going to ChatGPT. I'm focused on the thing. Like I was mentioning before, this thing has a personality that is a legal expert. And you have loaded in all the legal books, law books for your state, let's say. And now it literally has read every book that's ever been written about law in the state of Texas or wherever you're from. And that is hugely powerful. And it lowers the barrier. You're going to see a renaissance. I believe right now in the internet, it's 1999, 2000 in the internet. That's where we are right now with AI. We're about to see an explosion of new startups and ideas and creativity that we haven't seen in a long time. Because if you notice in the last 10 years or so, the same apps keep coming out. It's like talking to college students. They all want to build a marketplace or a bar app. Why? Because that's what they know. When you're talking about startup founders now, they're all building social media things. Why? Because it's what they know. Now we have something new to know, and it's going to change the world.
Hi, I'm Christy Pronto, Content Marketing Director here at Big Pixel. Thank you for listening to this episode of the BizDev Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email, hello@thebigpixel.net. The BizDev Podcast is produced and presented by Big Pixel. See you next week. Until then, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and LinkedIn.